Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of poems, and then I'm going to leave, and I guarantee you're going to enjoy at least one of those two things. I've been really fascinated by the talks we've had this evening as a history graduate, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my experiences as an occupier, and also the reading I was doing about this period in time, actually, the 1640s, in between poems. In 1648, a leveller called John Milburn he was shortly after being banged up in the Tower of London for organising a demonstration outside Parliament. He was taken out to St Paul's Churchyard to be shot by firing squad. This is a man who was campaigning for voting rights for people without property. And when he stood in front of the firing squad, he said this to the soldiers. Fellow soldiers, I am here brought to suffer on behalf of the people of England, and for your privileges and liberties, and such as in conscience you ought to own and stand for too. But I perceive that you are appointed by your officers to murder me, and I did not think that you had such heathenness and barbarous principles in you, when I stand for nothing but what is for your good. Now, about 350 years later, after the enclosures have continued to extend to our children's diet, our visual environment, even our sexual desires, 1 year ago, I saw fellow occupiers standing on the steps of St Paul's, exactly the same place, and looking into the eyes of policemen and saying very similar words. Now, I think in a world where the powers that be are trying to privatise everything at the heartbeat, I think there's a spatial imperative now to all protest. The reclamation of public space is absolutely central to what all of us have to do, whether we're reclaiming the streets and going on a march, whatever it is, as protesters. George Monbiot was wrong. Squatting is not illegal. Squatting in residential properties is illegal. It's still a civil matter in non-residential and commercial buildings. And I would encourage any campaigners here, in whatever form you're doing it, to consider squatting of non-residential buildings as part of your campaign strategy. And if you want to know more about that, speak to me. I squat in a non-residential building which is owned by a tax dodger, just like the last squat I lived in. And speak to other Occupy activists. This could be a way forward for your campaign, such as the Occupy Free and Violent Library, which is a great example of that. So I want to do a poem now about Occupy. When I first arrived at Occupy London, and all this incredible noise and energy and beauty that's happening around me inspired this poem. And I need your help for this, guys. When I say I'm Spartacus, I want you to shout back at me, no, I'm Spartacus. You're going to try it. I'm Spartacus.
No, I'm Spartacus.
Listen, that's 75%. I need you to, like you're a freed slave. I'm Spartacus.
No, I'm
Spartacus. Now is the winter of our discount tents, where people regroup from their TV sets and start to set out the new news agenda. There are polythene estates appearing all over the place, camped out, new fields of possibilities. We meld and become one body, soldered by the tent pegs of love and solidarity. I'm Spartacus. Slogans detonate like shockwaves inside my brain as I stand here gazing at neoclassical pillars which start to get plastered with our collective answers to this cardiac arresting capital city. They read, nature is the only superpower. They read, your heart is a weapon the size of a fist. They read, make occupation your occupation, and on and fierce discussions erupt on street corners. It's like 18th century France all over again. The pendulum is beginning to swing. We're at the point of zero gravity between more of the same and a Mexican wave that won't sit back down. Now a pandemic of tented towns, dome tent cities pop up like frog spawn, mini tax havens for the super poor, prime real estate for insurrection, emergency housing for the desperate and indignant. I'm Spartacus. Clinics to the trench foot of why fucking bother, hacking off the severed limb of who gives a shit, and feeding every bit of this shit that we're given into a giant composting system. There's a verdant, pulsating energy shooting through the cracks of a shattering system, seeds of change and germination, here at ground zero, indignation solidified, a population galvanized, the 99 personified. We've come to talk about what's going down, camped out, new fields of possibilities, we meld and become one body, soldered by the tent pegs of love and solidarity. I'm Spartacus. Silhouetted by cues of mesmerized traffic, there are pavement fanatics, suited sympathetics, ecclesiastical renegades, sandals, trainers, ecumenical, transgenerational, amateur, professional, dermatologically spectral. Flash mobs of tourists feast on flaky 99ers. There are armies of clowns and militant mothers that chewed up and spit out evening standards from sickly goblin bankers gripped by a shivering profit psychosis. This suited, booted black bloc marches through rat race alleyways of steely glass palaces. This zombie system tears at our walls. So we take to our bubble pod tents and we spawn the unwanted kids of Thatcher's sick fantasies. We climb the scaffolded limbs of their hierarchies. We see them running upstairs with their bounties. We come to tear the plastic from their faces. We come to tear the Botox from their faces. We come to tear a cosmetic surgery, subsidy to a hideous dying kleptocracy, paid for by a people now pregnant with change. I'm Spartacus. Young nail bombs of love and ragtag humanity, antibody to this exponential cancer of money, hacking off the tumour before it dies naturally, because only another world is possible, only another world is possible. We are purging ourselves of parasites with thriving communities of radical campsites. We want to push the banks to the brink of extinction. We're going to get Darwinian, armed with information and critical discussion, and spreading like the advancing Sahara, bearing tent poles and a sense of humour. I'm Spartacus, only joking. He's Spartacus. We stay. When tents lend percussion to the thrashing rain, you'll have to drag us from the last blade of grass. We remain singing at the doorsteps of salvation. For whom does your bell toll, St. Paul's? For us or for them? Don't follow false prophets. Usury is sin. Don't follow false prophets. Usury is sin. And the meek are inheriting the earth before it dies. If Jesus was alive today, he would say, occupy. Thank you.